Hello and welcome back to another Classic TBC video. Today we are talking about banned on equip items, which are items you can find and sell that are actually more valuable than you think. Some of these items can actually net you a decent amount of gold, and others, well, others just have some fun on-use effects, and I think they're awesome. So without further ado, let's look at some items from the Burning Crusade that are bound when equipped. Number 1 is the Nightblade. This dagger is insanely valuable for melee DPS, especially rogues, and armor penetration, or things that will ignore X amount of armor from bosses, will be infinitely more valuable in TBC than it was in Classic, due to bosses having more armor values in TBC, especially now that we know we will get access to pre-nerfed versions of the bosses as well. That being said, once you get access to some raid loot, you will end up switching out this dagger, but it is a really strong pre-raid best-in-slot dagger for any rogue out there, and it also has a cool glow effect. Number 2, the Blade of Wizardry. This is a super low world drop item from the Burning Crusade that is actually super useful, especially in the early phases of TBC. This weapon is actually only beaten by another BoE item in terms of pre-raiding gear, so to obtain a better item than this you either have to go for the Eternium Ruined Blade from blacksmithing, which is another BoE item, or you have to get your hands on some actual raid loot. The Blade of Wizardry also has a very interesting and amazing equip effect, which can basically increase your spell haste rating by a ton, which is awesome. While we are talking about the Eternium Ruined Blade, that is actually the number 3 BoE on my list. This item is crafted with blacksmithing and is therefore maybe not as interesting as the Blade of Wizardry, but it is super good and super useful, especially in the early phases of the Burning Crusade, and it provides blacksmiths with a nice way of making some early gold. And it's also a pre-raid best-in-slot for caster DPS, just like the Blade of Wizardry. Number 4 is the Talon of the Tempest. This one is super interesting. This is actually a world drop boss from the boss called Doomwalker, and he can drop this dagger. This dagger has insane stats, 2 sockets, a socket bonus improves your hit rating and crit rating, and increases your spell damage and healing done by 195, which is just absurd. This dagger is best in slot throughout the first phase, and maybe even the second phase of Classic TBC, so if you can get your hands on this one, it should net you a pretty penny, or you will be set for a couple of weeks or months in the TBC. For example, if you compare this dagger to another dagger from one of the early raids, like the Nathrasim Mindblade from Karazhan. The Nathrasim Mindblade has slightly more spell damage, but also lacks the hit rating, and the Talon of the Tempest has 2 sockets available on it. Number 5 is the Valanos Longbow. So this is actually a world drop, but it is a rare item and not an epic one, which means you will be seeing a lot more of it than you would an epic world drop. I wanted to bring this one up early in this video, because there aren't a lot of good hunter weapons out there early in TBC, unless you're interested in PvP and can get your hands on some gladiator weapons. So knowing that this bow exists is definitely a good thing if you're a hunter. Based on it being a world drop, you can also pick one up fairly cheap, as I expect the markets to be flooded with them in Classic TBC, because once again they are a rare quality drop and not an epic one. Number 6 is the Exodar Life-Staff. Just like the Blade of Wizardry and the Talon of the Tempest we covered earlier in this video, this BoE weapon is absolutely insane and is actually best in slot for the first couple of phases in Classic TBC, or at least until you can get your hands on some tier 5. As a quick comparison, here's the staff from Karazhan. You can see that the Exodar Life-Staff has more damage and healing values on it, and it has the same amount of intellect. The only things you're losing is 55 spirit and 33 stamina, but you are gaining 3 sockets and 20 MP5 if you get a socket bonus, considering you get 2 from the socket bonus and 18 from the equip effect. So instead of getting some useless stamina, you can put some crit or hit in those sockets, or just go all out on intellect or whatever you need. Number 7, the Band of Impenetrable Defenses. This ring is absolutely insane for tanks, and the defense rating and stamina combination is super strong. This ring will most likely carry you throughout the first couple of phases in Classic TBC, and here's a little extra reason why this ring could be worth a lot in TBC. Some of you might already know this, but Protection Paladins become super useful and super strong for AoE gold farming, specifically in dungeons, and the more gear and defense they have, the more they can pull, and the more effectively they can farm. As they get better and better geared, more farming possibilities also open up for them, and I suspect this ring will sell for a lot just because of that. Number 8, the Crystal Pulse Shield. This shield is actually incredibly strong, and since it's a rare quality BoE, and not an epic one, it shouldn't be that uncommon to see on the auction house either, meaning you should be able to pick one up fairly cheap. Depending on how easy it is to obtain better shields for tanking, this shield could also be wanted by gold farming paladins, as it gives them easy access to some block rating, and armor from a fairly high quality and fairly decently cheap shield. Number 9, the Essence Focuser. So the Crystal Pulse Shield is pretty much a healer shield, and I also wanted to give you guys a healing weapon to go along with that to help you healers out there get ready for raiding. This one-handed mace is actually super strong to be a rare quality BoE item, and because it is a rare quality and not an epic quality BoE, the actual rarity of this item wouldn't be that bad, and you should be able to pick one up fairly cheap. When I say fairly cheap, I mean you will still most likely have to pay a couple hundred gold for it, but you won't have to pay an arm and a leg for it, so don't expect to find them for vendor price. So by grabbing this mace right here and the Crystal Pulse Shield, your healer should be pretty much set and ready to raid. Number 10, the Crystalforged War Axe. This is most likely going to be the item from this video that most of you guys will recognize, and it's pretty much a staple from the Burning Crusade era. This axe has such an iconic look, and if you've been playing retail and doing some primal farming, you've probably stumbled upon this one once or twice. This axe is a level 69 rare BoE item with a pretty nice amount of attack power on it, as well as some decent crit rating. This weapon will be wanted by hunters, warriors and paladins, as it gives them a nice damage boost early in TBC's lifespan, as this weapon only requires level 69 in order to be equipped. This means that I would assume this weapon will be at peak value early in TBC, as people are hitting level 69 or 70, and some people with a lot of leftover gold from Classic might be willing to overpay for some early damage boost. But as time goes on, there's going to be a lot of these on the market, and the price will go down, but it's still a nice weapon to grab at level 69, or just as you hit level 70. Number 11, the Bringer of Death. Honestly, I just love the name of this staff, and I just wanted to bring it up quickly. Number 12, Dirge. You can't make a video about BoE items in the Burning Crusade without mentioning Dirge, even if it is just a meme. And there it is guys, a video covering 12 different BoE items you can obtain in TBC Classic. A bit of a different video that I thought would be interesting, and I definitely had a lot of fun making it, so hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it as well. And if you happen to get your hands on some of these world drops while leveling, you at least know a little bit more about their worth now, or if you get yourself to level 70, and you want some semi-cheap pre-abyss items, now you know about a couple of BoE options you can go for to upgrade your character. I also just want to take a moment to thank all of you guys for your massive support on these TBC videos. I'm having so much fun making these videos, and it's really making me even more hyped for TBC as well. I also want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for going that extra mile and supporting me over there as well. And if you want to become a patron, you can do so by clicking the link in the description. I plan on giving out some extra gold making advice on my Patreon before TBC launches, and during TBC as well, so for some extra gold making advice, Patreon is the place to be. And that is pretty much it for this video guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more TBC content. And if you have any other BoE items you think I should have mentioned in the video, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon.